Deshawn next to me in the prime spot in the middle. We are going to talk about, is there any sort of clues that we can gather from previous Browns drafts as to how our new GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, might go, might look at, and what sort of results did they get? Also, we'll hit up on if there's any sort of head coach news. There's not much on that other than second interviews are in progress. And we'll finish up with a quick mock draft. So join us right after the roll-in. Welcome to Climbing the Pocket's Mock Draft Mondays. Who will the Vikings pick, and who's your favorite choice? And we're back. That's quick but powerful. Love it. How are you doing tonight, Deshawn?
I am doing great. It's cold here in Maryland, but I know you guys, most of you guys are from Minnesota, so I shouldn't complain. But I'm freezing. I don't know how y'all deal with this.
That's funny. I'm down in Texas, so it's not that cold, which is nice. But, you know, it all happens. We're going to get a little bit colder in a week, and by colder, that means down right around freezing. We'll see how that goes. Want to say hi to everybody that's watching. We have, of course, Joseph Skull. He's got his drinks ready. Mary,
Nick.
Daniel, Nick, Skull Mafia from
Anthony.
Conesus Lake, New
We
York.
love when you guys flood the comments. It makes us feel good.
Yes. Anthony, it's going to be a great night. You were the one, and I want to tell all the viewers that it's Deshawn that brought up the idea of let's look for some clues and how the Browns have drafted as to see if we can glean anything out of that as to how Kwesi may do it.
Actually, yeah. In the comments just now, we got someone saying that DeMeco Ryans is out, and that's actually true. Tom Pelissero just tweeted that DeMeco Ryans actually declined a second interview with the Vikings to further his development in San Fran. I don't blame him at all. The Vikings defense is a project. San Fran has something already established. For him, I think it's a good move. I think he stays where he needs to be. Congrats to him. Now that leaves us with Morris, O'Connell, and Harbaugh, who I think Harbaugh just like became like the immediate favorite. As soon as his name went in there, everybody was like, yeah, let's do that.
Well, O'Connell did get his second interview tonight. That's already been posted. That has been done. We don't know the results, of course. But yes, that leaves, of course, Harbaugh and Raheem Morris. Raheem is my personal favorite out of the bunch. I worry about Harbaugh. Harbaugh is definitely a winning quarterback or coach, and we will win. But I worry about a quick 4-year and then it going to dysfunction and burnout. So it all depends on the Wilfs and Brez and Kwesi and how they feel. But other than that, there's no update. So we got an update. O'Connell's got his second one done. Ryans is out. We don't. Harbaugh, I read today, is supposed to possibly interview Wednesday. Hopefully, Raheem Morris gets interviewed here in the next 24 hours as well, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, man. It's just, I think for Harbaugh, it's just a big respect thing with the stuff he did in San Francisco. It was great up there for a couple of years. Obviously, it fell apart, but they got to the Super Bowl under him, and that's more than any coach that we've had in a long time. So I get it. I get it with Harbaugh. Personally, I'm an O'Connell guy. Give me the potential of an offensive mastermind at the helm. Obviously, he is starting fresh. He doesn't call plays. It's going to be raw. You're really hoping he develops into something.
Well, that's my biggest question about him is he doesn't call plays. Yes, he's been around Sean McVay. He's obviously had a cup of coffee or two with him. But he's a huge question mark. I don't know how he's going to turn out. There's no background to that. There's no substantial resume. He could be a genius. He could be it. I don't know. That's what worries me about him. Raheem Morris has a resume. We know how Raheem Morris is. We know how he interacts with people. All that. Same with Harbaugh. Harbaugh's got a great resume. He doesn't lose where he goes. But we also know he can burn out relationships real fast. So O'Connell is my biggest question mark. Yes, there's the benefit of being on the offensive side of the ball. It's just, I don't know. It's the big question mark. We'll find out soon enough when that
yes, we will.
That head coach gets his introductory press conference and he wears a suit he hasn't worn in about 5 years. We'll find out. But let's talk draft. You wanted to talk to Browns and how they draft. What's your theory?
So looking back really you got to go back to around 2016 because that's when the Browns movement towards a more analytical approach to the draft. And what that means for people, I think it's more like a best player available kind of thing for when it comes to like an analytical approach. So you won't see them doing interior players like defensive tackles, guards, centers. You won't see them doing that kind of stuff in the first round. Rarely even in the first 3 rounds. I think they only have one, and that was like Austin Corbett, who actually ended up being a solid pick. He's now I think he's the starting center for the Rams, who are going to the Super Bowl. So that was their second round pick, I think like 2017 or something like that. But they really value your key positions. So when it comes to drafting, it's going to be a lot of wide receivers, a lot of cornerbacks, QB, of course, a lot of edge players. That's what they're going to target in that first, 50 players or so. So those premium positions that really benefit you on your rookie contracts. Now that's reflected in players like Myles Garrett. That was reflected in players like Corey Coleman, who obviously didn't work out, unfortunately. You have Baker Mayfield, and you have Jedrick Wills. So they've hit on a few of those players, and Jedrick Wills, I think, is the only one now on a rookie contract that's paying pretty big dividends for them so far. So I think that is the direction we're going to see this team go. So in our past history, when we took Bradbury, most recently Bradbury at the center position is the one that you can point out, obviously. Another one to look at, I think it's interesting, is Laquan Treadwell. And I think when you go more to an analytically based process is differently. So with Laquan Treadwell, his biggest attribute in college was like contested catches. He didn't separate well. He wasn't overly explosive. Right. Just in college, he was able to catch everything over everybody. So when I got to the league, it didn't translate. You don't see the Browns drafting players like that. Corey Coleman, he was a separator. He was fast. He could do a lot of things. Anthony Schwartz, separator, fast, can do a lot of things. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he can high point the ball really well, but he was a separator, even though he fell really far. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones fell way further than what he was supposed to. I thought he was a 3rd-round pick, fell to the 5th. Now, he gave them, 4 or 5 touchdowns last season? He's a separator. He can do both. He can separate and high point the football. So when you're talking about an analytically based draft, you're going to see it at multiple levels, not just best player available. You're going to see it in how they evaluate, how they value different prospects.
Gotcha. You worried me when you brought up Treadwell. Now, you wanted to talk about Kwesi and post Kwesi.
Yeah, 26. So post Kwesi, right? So, and a lot of the interviews or a lot of the articles you'll see, Kwesi he gives a lot of the credit to Andrew Berry. Those guys were like 1-2 up there in the Browns. So I would expect a lot of the stuff that he does here to kind of reflect what Andrew Berry did in Cleveland. So as you can see in 2020 run, their process didn't really change. It just kind of got better. So you have players in 2020. You have Jedrick Wills in the first round. You have Grant Delpit, who
Whoa, whoa.
came to be a solid.
Let me switch screens so I can bring up the graphics so everybody can watch. But
Yeah,
I know everybody who's watching right now sees Tyler's name up there and is wondering, where in the heck is Tyler? I'm wondering, where in the heck is Tyler? We know he's in Mobile, Alabama. He flew down there today. Um,
he's
his
down there being a scout.
He's down there being a scout, working for NBC Edge, working with Thor Nordstrom, um, reporting. But he was going to try to join tonight. Obviously, he had something going on. Interesting story from Tyler before he came on the show. He got to sit next to Catherine Rach on the airplane flying into there. So we look forward to more stories from that once he gets back. But I want to change the screen real quick. We're going to flop here. You're looking at, I want to bring up a different graphic than that one. That's one I was looking at. All right. Here are, let me delete that one. Here are the Browns draft picks over the last 2 years. Now, do you want to go with that, Deshawn?
Yeah, we can start at let's start at 2020. So obviously you get a tackle in the top 10. You get Jedrick Wills Jr. Obviously a great pick. You get a premium position on a rookie contract. That's always going to be good. And then you have Grant Delpit in the second round. Obviously safeties are a little less. They're not premium position, but you still get kind of that playmaker in the second round, and he could do a lot of stuff for you. And then down here you have Harrison Bryant, the tight end in 2020, which is like a low key pick. He doesn't do too much for him, but he's like he's almost, I don't want to call him Miko Harmon for the Chiefs, but he's like that fourth to fifth receiver when you need him to be. And then obviously you have Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's now growing into a role for them with Odell Beckham gone. So 2020, you can already see that they have several draft picks paying dividends with a good process that they're using up there in Cleveland.
All right. This is, for those that don't know, this is Pro Football reference data that you're seeing. You can judge some of these people by the far right-hand columns. How many games have they played? Right? The guys obviously in 2020 are two-season guys, and 2021 was only this season. And how much is their adjusted value? You see that Jedrick Wills, their tackle is off the charts. He's good. Grant Delpit, who's only got an AV of 3, and I don't remember his score. I've got it on that other graphic. He has only played one season's worth of games. I think he got hurt. He, when I looked up, was the number one safety in the draft that year. If you can get the safety number 1 in the second round, you are doing very, very well. Because last year there were some safeties that were good. In 2020 there were some safeties that were good. So it's a good thing. Just explaining that for the viewers.
Mm-hmm. So you look at also Donovan Peoples-Jones with an 8. So their process is producing good stuff. How Tyler says it all the time: good process, good results. I mean, you might not always get the good result, but if you continue to put forth good process, eventually you're going to pay out. And I really do believe that with the draft. I might not agree with everything with him, but with the draft, I do believe you stick to your process with the draft, and eventually you'll start to hit on those picks in all kinds of rounds. And then we move to 2021. Greg Newsome, of course, solid cornerback. And it's worth mentioning that a lot of these picks are done while they have players already in place. Greg Newsome was picked while they still have Greedy Williams on the roster. Anthony Schwartz is picked when they still had Odell Beckham on the roster. So Kwesi had said something really interesting in his interview. I think he said something like planning ahead for needs that don't exist yet, and that's
Right.
just. And if That's an awesome way to run a football team. I think that your depth is always going to be ready. You're always going to be ready for whatever happens. Just so much happens in the National Football League. So injuries, guys become unhappy. You have to cut certain players. You have to trade certain players. Obviously, the whole Odell Beckham thing came out of left field for them. I mean, unfortunately, they have Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, and he's not doing all of that well. But I think having Anthony Schwartz there is going to be good for either if Baker comes back or if they have another QB. They now have 3 guys there, and they can add on top of that. And
without a doubt. And we don't know if Baker's not playing so well was due to his injury, his shoulder and stuff, or him being Baker. So we don't know, but they have built a team around him that looks competitive across the board. Now, I had that other graphic up, and I'll bring it up here quickly. It's not going to want to show right, but same players, and it's just how I have it feeding. I wanted to look, and no, it won't do that. You can see the numbers, the color-coded numbers on the right next to Deshawn, where each of these, so Greg Newsome scored a 68.1. These are PFF grades right there.
That's insane. That 2020 draft, that is insane.
Look at those. The majority of them are above 60, right? And 60 is the baseline. You want to be above 70. There are quite a few that are near or above 70. And that's in the last 2 years. Compare that to your Minnesota Vikings and how many draft picks, one, played number of games, and two, scored that high or graded that high.
Look at Nick Harris, man. 5th round pick with a 70 overall grade. That's crazy.
That is what I call identifying people, and whether it be between the Kwesi and the GM identifying them and drafting them, and Stefanski coaching them and his staff coaching them. That is outstanding if you could get that sort of production out of just two, your most 2 recent draft classes. If we could do that in Minnesota, if Kwesi can replicate that in Minnesota, our rebuild and turnaround, say for 2023, I would sit there, I'd need some alone time. That looks so good. I mean, you are going to be competitive. And your whole theory about this is that we should see something similar coming here shortly for the draft, and how all that goes.
Yeah, I definitely think so a lot of people feel as though 2021 is a wash for the Vikings, and I don't necessarily agree. I think you should see them get better. Whether and it may not be completely accurate, but I think whether Kirk Cousins is at quarterback or not, if you get the right coach in there, the offense should improve. The offense underperformed massively last year. You get the right coach in there, the frame is still there. The frame, the line, the wide receivers, I mean, obviously you need to improve the line a little bit, but the frame is still there for a quarterback that's not as good as Cousins to be planted in there and maybe play at the level of Cousins or even more.
Well, as Carl indicated, if Harbaugh gets the job, he could help develop Mond or a draftee or even Cousins for that matter, because he does tend to maximize whatever quarterback he has and their play. And he drove Alex Smith to some of his best seasons. He drove Colin Kaepernick, obviously, to the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to what he would do with Mond or what he would do with Malik Willis. Say the Vikings drafted Malik Willis. That, to me, would be special and would be key. But yes, you are 100% correct. The foundation, especially on offense, I'm not going to say it on defense, but on offense is already there. You've got your tackles. You've got the weapons already in place. Just improve that quarterback, improve the two spots on the O-line, and there's no reason we can't be a top 5 offense. None. Zero. Nada.
None at all. So I still think in 2021, this team should see improvement. Now, it might not be improved within the record. That much I don't care about. I don't care what your record is in 2021. You're probably not vying for a Super Bowl in 2021, but I should see consistency on offense. The defense is there's just a massive lack of talent on a defense. So you're going to see games where they just completely fall through against better offenses. And that's expected when you're probably going to have 3, 4, 5 players. I mean, Kendricks can end up being moves. We don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Hunter. So you're looking at losing massive talent on that defense. That much can't really be helped. So you're expecting that. But I'm expecting this offense to take a big, not a big leap, but just be more consistent. You don't have to be like consistently a top like 2 or 3 offense, but I'm asking that you don't consistently fall below like that top 10 line, which the Vikings did a lot last season. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think 2021 isn't a wash. It's about finding your consistency. So when it does come time to compete, you can compete with teams like the Chiefs and the Bills. And now we have to worry about the Bengals because they're going to the Super Bowl. And then we're going to compete with the Rams for a long time. I mean, we might be losing Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, but you still got Kyler Murray. You still got Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, and the Rams. There's still some competition out there.
But I'm not sure. I think the Rams, the way they built that team with trading all those future picks and signing those high-dollar free agents, I think they have a short window. Because all that's going to come due quick. And I don't think they'll be able to keep that up. But that's just me. Maybe they'll finagle it, push it all down the road again like New Orleans. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Yes, I think the toughest conference will be the AFC because all the quarterbacks over there, that gives more incentive for Cam to find that quarterback for our team and dominate the NFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he actually, and there's a question in the comment about a dual threat quarterback. I think in this game, you saw what Josh Allen did, you saw what Patrick Mahomes did, you saw what Joe Burrow did. I do feel like that it's almost a need in this game. Sort of, if you can't consistently keep the offensive line playing at a high level, you do kind of need that dual threat quarterback. But I think what we saw Joe Burrow Joe Burrow did not dominate that game against the Chiefs in any way, shape, or form. But what he did was he made plays when he needed to. And that's really all we're asking from the quarterback position. We're not asking for Josh Allen. We're not asking for Patrick Mahomes. We're not asking for Aaron Rodgers. We're asking for somebody that when things are falling apart, you don't also fall apart. You be that guy to fix things when things are falling apart. So you see it all over Twitter. Draft your next Mahomes. Nothing should stop you from drafting your next Mahomes or whatever like that. I think you don't need Mahomes, man. Joe Burrow is not Mahomes. He's nowhere close. Joe Burrow is not Josh Allen. Probably nowhere close. He can get there, but as of right now, he's in the Super Bowl because the Bengals built a solid team and they're playing great complementary football, and Burrow is making plays when you need him the most.
Well, as Mary
that's
said,
what you're looking for.
Leadership. Burrow's got leadership in spades. He's just like, he reminds me of watching the films of Joe, what's his name? Joe Namath. Hollywood Joe. He also has the chip on his shoulder, like Joe Montana. Underrated. Doesn't think he can win. People doesn't think he can win. He's going in there with leadership, doing what it takes to win football games. And that trumps literally just about anything. If you have that belief and you exude that and people believe in you and follow you, you can go miles and still not be, technically the fastest, throw the farthest, throw the hardest, whatever, or the most accurate. You can still win, and you can win big. And I think that's what Cincinnati's hooked into, and they should keep it as long as they can.
Right. Imagine when they finally do fix that offensive line.
Yeah. Oh, then it'll be scary. And like I said, that's it. It's the AFC. There is such good talent on the AFC, and it's saturated. That's where in the NFC, it's less across the board, and the Vikings, if they do it right, can take advantage of that.
Yeah, real quick, and it's fast for them. I really do think the Vikings can be back. They're back into taking a conference over. I say 2023 at the earliest. At the earliest, I mean, the NFC's falling apart. There aren't many teams. I mean, the Cardinals, they're good. They have yet to put it together. The Cowboys, for some reason, have this great team. They just can't put it together. The NFC is ripe for the taking. I think you spend one season, you come back, and you get into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Is there anything more on the previous drafts that you want to cover before we head into a quick mock draft?
Nah, it's time for me to put on my best Kwesi imitation.
Okay.
We in the war room, Dave.
Now, everyone is wondering, I'm keeping Tyler up there because hopefully he will join us. He was going to try, and don't know if he's at the hotel yet. Don't know if he's 3 sheets to the wind already. Have no idea, but he was going to try. Anyways, you get me and Deshawn. Until then, we're going to start this draft. Let's go. How many rounds do you want, Deshawn?
Well, we can do 4. We'll do 4. We're still I think most people are still on the top 75 names as of right now.
Okay. We shall do 4, even though we don't have a 4th pick as of right this second. But we may
Mr. Chris Herndon.
Yes. What a waste. Panic move waste. All right, here we go. And let's start this draft. Presently, the Vikings sit with a number 12 pick, and the draft is underway. First pick seems to go off every time I run this is Aiden Hutchinson. And we have our first trade offer. We'll get these. All right.
That's a first and a third from the Saints.
First, third, and a 6th from the Saints. Let's see, what else do we have? Sorry, guys, I'm looking the other way. That's where my monitor is. We have a first, a third, and a 7th from the Steelers to drop down to 20. Saints is to drop. The Saints is a better deal there.
It is a much better deal. The Cowboys is a much
Cowboys
better deal.
is a first and a 2nd for the first. Drop down to 24.
Oof. I think we like that one. 3 top 75s.
Yes. I'm going to accept that one. See where we go from there.
So Daniel Jeremiah, I think, put out a mock draft today, and he had 7 edge rushers going in the top, I think, like 25 or something like that. So it's a good draft to need an edge rusher.
All right, here the Chiefs are offering 30th and a 4th for our 24.
No, I think we're gonna pick here. If they had added the 7th, the Rick Spielman in me would have been tempted.
All right, we've got on the board. We've got an interior lineman. If we want to go that high, Linderbaum, from what I'm reading, is that good now, but it's, to me, that's an overvaluation of interior lineman.
Yeah. So definitely want to go. So the Vikings have a bunch of needs. Interior line, I probably wouldn't even draft at all until like the later rounds this year. I'm really hoping that they fix the interior in free agency, bring in some cheap, proven talent, because that's really what this offensive line needs. It doesn't need more rookies. It's young enough. They need like some leadership, some people that can teach. So I'm really hoping that we don't have to draft any interior line this year. I would go here. The guys that I'm looking at right now, obviously you have Devin Lloyd. When we're about to have a vacancy at linebacker. You have Treylon Burks, who's been.
I'm going to look at Lloyd.
Treylon Burks has been, yeah.
5th-year junior is a 5th-year junior. Okay. He's pegged as a 2-down linebacker. Why is he so high?
Because he's explosive. That's what
And
you
he's
need.
got,
I think
and he's
this
got
year,
size. He's 6'3"
yeah.
versus Dean, who's 6 foot.
Yeah, I think the NFL is starting to transition now to more explosion from the linebacker position. Those guys that can really how Anthony Barr will really just split a play and completely end it. I think the NFL is really starting to value guys like that, guys that can really get into the backfield fast, guys that can blitz, and guys that can also drive back in coverage. The guy that I kind of want to talk about, Treylon Burks, which everybody now is comparing to Deebo Samuel. I think he is going to be a hot name. I think he flies up the draft board. He might end up going top. Now, because Jameson Williams, he was the top receiver in the country towards ACL. He should be close to ready-ish, I think, because I think season is 9 months. ACL repair is usually 9 months or so. But Treylon Burks with, forgetting his name, Deebo Samuel, doing what he's doing, I think a lot of teams are going to want to take Treylon Burks and try to replicate that. So that's a guy that's on the board now, premium position, great talent. Also, you have Carson Strong. I think everybody at the neck grid, I think, is a fan of Carson Strong. Has great arm, can make every throw. You need a quarterback. And then also Zion. No, that is not the name I wanted. Logan Hall. Logan Hall from Houston. If you need an edge, I don't like him this early, so I probably want to take him. As of right now, my eyes are on Carson Strong. I really like him at quarterback, but I think we did that last time. So
what about Ritter?
To make Tyler happy?
What about this Desmond Ritter? Tell me about him. Let me click on him real quick, because he's not a name that I'm familiar with.
Super familiar with. So he is oftentimes when you rank the top quarterbacks, you'll see Ritter. He's towards the bottom of this list. He has an arm. He can throw the football, but I believe most of his downfalls come with the intricacies of the quarterback position. The stuff that you kind of have to teach in the college level is, I guess, it's the stuff that he's not really getting.
Right.
So when you come in, he's going to be your 1-year project guy. So I don't see him coming in.
Ideal role, developmental starting quarterback.
Right. So he's going to be basically, I don't want to call him another Kellen Mond, but if you take Ritter, you're basically signing up for another Kellen Mond situation. So Carson Strong, I think he comes in. He is not mobile. He can probably now his 40-yard dash. Obviously, I saw a tweet by Jordan saying that guys are moving away from 40-yard dashes, using more of the GPS. But I think if he does decide to run it, which I doubt he will with the whole knee thing, I think he can move well enough to get out of trouble. In the pocket, he's good. I don't know about maybe escaping and running for first downs. I don't really think that's his game. But I think he comes in with the ability to make almost every single throw at the start of camp, and he's just going to improve thereon. Really, the only concern with him is the knee. You just don't want to invest. It's hard to invest in somebody who possibly could have a Sam Bradford issue, which I'm not really comparing it to. I am comparing it to, but not saying that would happen to him, but just that's kind of in your mind when you had Sam Bradford. He had such a good season. He comes in the next season and his knee puts him out for the rest of the year. That's just kind of the thing that comes to mind.
Well, here's where I wish we'd traded down.
Right.
We know Nakobe Dean. I like Nakobe Dean. I think he'll pair up brilliantly with Kendricks. But beyond that, Logan Hall, got another interior lineman. Brisker, I don't mind Brisker. I was looking into him today. Oops. And he's a good safety. We're probably going to need a safety. If they draft a safety, that opens up for trading Harrison Smith. I don't particularly want to trade Harrison Smith, but if we trade him, that opens up money and position, and we'll need a second safety. I don't know. Go ahead and select, because I'm gonna do here, I would go.
It's my first year here. If I'm the coach, I'm the GM. Offense is gonna be our calling card. I'm gonna solidify the offense in the first round. Obviously, you need defense, but in the long run, offense is gonna be what wins you your football games. I'm taking Treylon Burks in the expectation that Thielen is ending. He's going towards the end of his career. So I'm drafting his replacement in the first round, someone who's probably going to contribute year one, and I'm going to make this offense unstoppable as fast as I can.
Okay. So we'll have an awesome wide receiver room.
Yeah, it's going to be the best, the best in the league. You'll see. Oof.
All right. Here, Jets want to give up pick 35 for our 2nd, 5th, and 6th. No. We need players.
We need bodies in training camp.
Yes, Dan, I talked about Dean. I would love to have Dean if we have the chance.
So I'm looking at the board. I would take this one, and they're not asking for much, and I would probably actually offer a little bit more than this, but I would take this offer just because of how the board fell.
All right. They want us to move to 41 and give up a 7th for it. So 5 spots.
Yeah, I actually think I would be pretty comfortable giving up the 3rd round pick for this just because of who's left on the board at this point in time.
Well, but this is a 2 and a 7 to move up 5 spots.
Yeah, that's easy. That's a no-brainer. But I would just because if this offer was like offered to me, I would end up offering more. But
Why
we're at
offer them
41.
more?
Because I mean, I've 7th
they're
round
willing
pick to
to
move
take-
up 5 spots.
If they're willing to take our, 5 spots down and a 7th, you say, okay. Now, you wanted this. Who are you taking right now?
I'm taking Malik Willis, and I'm not thinking twice.
Boom.
Taking Malik Willis, and then you got him his wide receiver. He's coming in with Justin Jefferson. You got your QB of the future.
All right. Now, do we want to trade up from 56 to 48 for the price of our 6th rounder?
No, I think we'll stay put. Like you said, we need those mini camp bodies. And I think the board is falling in our favor to whereas we don't really need to move right now. There's a lot of defensive talent left on the board for us to draft.
And Steelers want our 52nd and want us to move up to 52 for a 5th and a 6th, a 2 6 and a 3rd next year. No. And we're on the board. Let's see. Ravens willing to give us their 76 and a 4th for our 2nd. Giants 67th and a 5th. And the Jags, their 65th and a 6th.
I think we're gonna decline those and stay put with what we got.
All right.
So we kind of just need defense at this point in the game. What we need? I mean, the defense at this point is you'd like to get a corner, but I think the corner position, the talent in the corner position falls off after the 1st round. I think you have like one pretty solid 2nd round player, and that's going to be the corner from Washington. But I think after this, the talent kind of falls off. But you do have if you want to click on Kendrick right there, bring up his profile, and I think he might be a solid pick right here.
All right. Began his career at Clemson before transferring to Georgia. He is a sufficiently reactive athlete with good movement skills and agility in coverage. In the run game, he's a willing tackler. That's always helpful. Who will come up versus the run, but is a bit light at the point of attack, which tells me he makes business decisions. In the passing game, he is raw in his technique and eyes. He plays a game from an open position and in off coverage and in man and zone situations. He's really undisciplined in his eyes, while he has gotten him in much trouble in Georgia due to their overall defensive talent and scheme. It could be problematic in the NFL. From press man, he can mirror, open his hips, stay on top, could afford to use some good length, blah, blah, blah.
So when I'm looking at the cornerback position, the things that I like to see press man, obviously, but I like to see the transition. I like to see players who are able to transition, press man, flip the hips, have the speed to keep up, because the NFL speed is different. So you need the speed to keep up. So press man, flip the hips, open up, keep up, the length to make great plays. And I feel like you can be successful from a lot of spots when you have those traits. That's great traits to build upon. And in the second round, when you have a defense like this, that's all you're looking for. You're looking for a player with traits to build upon, and I think he has those traits.
Well, and Drew Christensen's all for him. He says he's got a ton of talent. He was a 5-star recruit as a receiver, and he's moved over. So he at least has some hand skills, which is always good. All right, we're going with a corner. Kendrick. Boom. On to the next player.
I think next up we need an edge rusher. You gotta get some guys in those rooms, because that room is looking a little light opposite of Daniel Hunter.
Well, and that's going to be a big situation as to whether they keep Daniil and eat the money or go on. All right. They're offering their 76 for our 77th and a 4th rounder. Picks they're offering. 1 pick higher and a 4th for our 70. I got to read that. And a 5th and a 6th. No.
Nah. We'll
Not for one move.
Right. Now, this is for maybe a later video, but I think, and because I was looking at the free agency class, and I was looking at a lot of guys that can probably come over to this team on, and obviously you would have to move Cousins and move some other stuff around to get some money to participate. But I think I really like Jadeveon Clowney on like a 2-year contract here in Minnesota. Maybe, I mean, obviously you have the Kwesi connection, but I do think he's going to be pretty good value at edge in this upcoming free agency class. He did solid. I think he had some injuries, but he did pretty good opposite of Myles Garrett. So I think as of right now, I have him like number 1 on their free agency thing. He's only like 20. I think he's 29 or 28. He's young still. So he has a lot of football ahead of him if he can stay healthy. So hopefully we'll see what happens, but I really like Jadeveon Clowney in that edge room if they could get him. And we're able to do something like that. We do not necessarily need to draft an edge this season, especially when you have guys like Janarius Robinson, Patrick Jones coming back. So you have potential there, but you still have the guy who has the proven talent. So with that being said, I like this linebacker room. So you have in Chad Mumma and Braden Smith, you have 2 significantly different players. Braden Smith is your lightning bolt. He's your high energy, high athleticism guy that if you can coach up, can end up being one of the best at the position. If you can get him the correct skill set, he has the athleticism that's going to carry him the rest of the way. Just athletic freak. I think he was a track guy too. So I think this kid runs like a 4.4, maybe like a low 4.4.
4.38.
Maybe even a 4. Right. So this is an extreme athlete at the linebacker position, but he is super raw. You have to coach him up. You basically just teach him. If you can teach him the position and how to be smart, how to use stuff at the position, he can be a great pick. Now, the other guy, we have Chad Mumma. He's your opposite. He's the guy who already has the skill set, but he's not as great an athlete as Braden Smith. So he's the guy that can probably come in and produce right away, but his ceiling just isn't going to be as high. So it depends on what you want. Chad Mumma is probably going to be a solid player for a really long time, but who knows if he ever cracks that top 10 at the position. Braden Smith, low floor, super high ceiling player. It just depends on what you value at the position.
I like how they wrote, he really misses tackles in the box and or in space. I think they meant rarely.
Yeah, and you see how it says there he's athletic enough to cover running backs on routes. When you get to the next level, athleticism in running backs, and especially tight ends, man, you see Travis Kelce out there snatching people's ankles. So athleticism takes another step at the next level, and who knows if he'll actually be able to catch up. So really, it depends on what you value.
If you want to go linebacker, out of what you've just described there, I'm going Smith. I want a guy who has the potential, has the speed to keep up with X receivers coming across the middle, not just running backs and tight ends. I want him to be able to keep up fast and pair that with Kendricks. Kendricks should help him. So there we go.
Yeah.
Done. Braden Smith it is.
That gives you the extra blitzing off the edge. It's just, I think you can do so much with Braden Smith, and I think in the third round he's going to be a steal for somebody. I don't think he'll be a third round pick. I think his athletic testing is going to push him up to the second round, but well, I mean, we'll see.
Alex, I did not see that the Vikings are flying Jim out. I wouldn't doubt that. However.
Yeah, I saw that. I think was that our last pick, or I think that was our last pick
in the round. Yeah, we'll find out. You may be right. Boom, boom. Let's press through. I need to be able to pick up the speed on this a little bit.
I think at the beginning you got to press fast. It's like one of the drop-down bars. The Ravens have a lot of picks. I think I've seen them pick like 8 times.
Yeah.
Like a call at the very end.
Of course, at the very end. Let's see. It's from Tom Pelissero. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. Ursay saying if Harbaugh comes out, don't let him leave. All right. The Steelers are offering their 4th for our 5th and 6th the following year. Why not?
Yeah, see who else is there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Amare Barno, edge. Vatek. Running back, Sterling Weatherford, safety, Miami of Ohio. My mother graduated from that school. That's how I know it. Valedictorian, no less.
So I think here I would go safety.
Should we make Ryan happy?
Round, you don't...
There's Oklahoma players on there.
I mean, hey. So I think at this point in the draft, you don't really want any more developmental edges because you have so many already. You have, do you have 3 guys, I think, developmental edge if you want to count DJ Wanham. Mm-hmm. So I think when you think about maybe the future at safety, you can check one of these safety players out. They could come in, play special teams pretty early. And you see, there was one safety we were really high on last season who made a giant play for the 49ers. I think it was like, his name was like Hufunga or something like that. I think he like blocked a kick or he picked the ball up and scored a touchdown or something crazy. And this guy is 6'6". Jesus.
Weatherford 6'4". Let's see. Nick Cross. Free safety. Okay. That doesn't look too bad.
So it also I think we need to see a lot more from.
That was some great dead air there, Deshawn.
Other guys
fill that
too.
when I'm looking.
I think we got to see a lot from our other guy too because we've seen him kind of play in the box. We've seen him do some deep safety stuff too.
What, Bynum?
Cam Bynum. Bynum. I think Bynum is going to be your future guy. I think after the two
I think
games you had, he
Bynum's going to
gave you
start
about
next year.
I think he gave you about a good 100, and because he started that Ravens game, which was like almost 100 defensive snaps, and then I think he started the Chargers game too. So I think he
he's
gave you
played both
about a good
positions.
100. Yeah, give you about a good 130 snaps. So it depends on where you want to play him. I think I would lean more to a roamer on the back end, someone who can play the middle third of the field when I think of developmental safety. When you think of your box guys, you're looking for extreme athletes. Right. So if you're looking for those box, like the next Harrison Smith, those guys are typically first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one in this draft. It's Kyle Hamilton, but he's like a projected top 10 pick. So it's not time you're going to be. There is another one. I can't remember his name, but I know his name's like Jaylen something. I think he's from Oregon, and he plays like nickel corner. He plays linebacker. He plays I think he is a great player, but I don't see him on this board right now. So I would go cross. In this later rounds, you want a guy that can roam the back end, play the middle third, while you have a guy like Bynum as like your fixer on the defense, in the box, on the line, doing stuff like that. So we would go Nick Ross.
RCJ, we discussed DeMeco declining the second interview at the very beginning of the show. Yes, he's out of it. We're down to 3 prospects. So, out of all that, who on this board do you want to select?
Let's take Nick Ross. Let's get some depth on defense. Plan for our future.
And that should be the end of it shortly. Yes, we do need depth over there. All right, let's look at our picks. There you go. Starting with a wide receiver to absolutely make that wide receiver room fat. Oh my God, is that going to be good? And then
he's from Baylor. My bad. Drew? He's from Baylor. The corner is from Baylor, and I think his name is Jaylen Petit or something like that. He's from Baylor. I remember now. He's like a do-it-all safety. I really like that guy.
Dan, I think you're right about DeMeco. We've got our QB of the future, Malik Willis. He'll need coached up, but he has all the tools necessary. He is Tyler's favorite quarterback prospect. And as he says, he has a piss missile for an arm. He also is a dual threat quarterback, which will help. We picked up Darian Kendrick, cornerback out of Georgia, to hopefully step in and contribute. We're going to need corners awful bad. We got linebacker Braden Smith with some tools, needs some coaching. He is awfully fast, should be able to keep up with anybody across the middle. And ended up with Nick Cross as our final pick in the first 4 rounds. 5 choices, 5 picks in 4 rounds. What do you all think?
I like the potential of this class. I think you have several guys that could come in and be good, pretty good. I mean, pretty fast. I like Malik Willis, as Ursi says Malik Willis is weak.
Well,
I personally,
and there would probably need to be, even with Malik, possibly a bridge.
So I think, yeah, possibly. But I think the structure of the offense, he does. And the one thing with Malik Willis is he takes a lot of bad sacks. I think he plays a lot of hero ball, and I think he tries to extend plays a ton. So that stuff you saw, I don't think not quite as bad as the stuff you saw from Mahomes on Sunday, which was awful.
Sorry, guys.
But I do think he takes a lot of bad sacks to be so athletic. But we'll see. He's mobile. He'll be able to do a lot in this offense, and hopefully he can elevate the guys. And I mean, it's entirely possible that he's able to elevate the guys in his first year. He gets to do a lot in his first year, I think. And I think Burks will be kind of that. We didn't really have we had a lot of wide receivers, but we didn't have the gadget guy. I was disappointed a little bit in Kubiak that he didn't kind of turn Keenan into a gadget guy. But I know he missed like some camp. He missed the first 6 games, so he never really had the opportunity to. I think with Treylon Burks, when you get creative play calling and you have a creative player, it just opens up your offense to levels that are almost like unstoppable. Almost like the Chiefs in the first half. They were unstoppable. There was literally like, I don't even think the
Then they
Bengals were playing like
collapsed.
bad defense. Then they completely collapsed, which was insane. It was like the tale of two halves. But I don't even think the Bengals were playing bad defense. Just the stuff the Chiefs were doing was just like impossible to stop. Like literally, I was looking at TV. I was like, how do you stop this? Like, I don't know. Well, obviously they found it out because Mahomes, or maybe they had to stop themselves. But I wouldn't mind a draft like that. I think you fortify your offense early in what is expected to be a down year. You come back in 2023, you sign some free agents, you draft all defense, and you're ready to go. And I think you're ready to go for a couple seasons. I think this opens up the Super Bowl window for a couple years.
Well, let's hope so. It takes a little while to build a defense, but let's hope so.
Right.
Okay, cool. With that, I think that's where we're going to call it a night. Any last words?
No, man, we're on the lookout for this coaching to see who's going to take over. It's taken a long time, like the length of the playoffs. So, but I think the good thing is that now that it's...
And the two LA
gotta take
Rams
time,
guys
right.
can't be official until after the Super Bowl. So that's another 2 weeks.
Right, and I think it's exciting because what you're going to see is that as soon as those guys get hired, it's going to be like decision, because once they're hired, you have 30 days until free agency opens. So you have 30 days to come in and decide what you're going to do with this roster. And I think I saw Miles tweet that he believes that the dealing with Kirk Cousins is going to be more of a GM issue than a head coaching issue. I mean, obviously you want your head coach to chime in, but I think like Kwesi is going to be like the ultimate decision maker on what to do with Kirk Cousins. And that's going to be your first domino because Cousins, he dictates your entire offseason. If you can offload Cousins, you get back the moves, you get back the cap space to do almost whatever you want to do, and you get back draft picks to move around in the draft who you want to draft. If you keep them, it's going to be a rough offseason. You'll be competitive next season for sure. Cousins will have you competitive in almost every single game as we were this year. I think we only got blown out once, and that was against the Packers. Right. Even the Rams game we played was like competitive up until like the fourth quarter or something like that. So you keep Cousins, you're competitive next year, but you're going to have a boring offseason. If you don't, you're going to have an offseason of some wild stuff, some wild speculation, some wild drafting. At least it'll be fun. It'll be something to talk about.
Yeah, it will be. We'll find out. It's going to be interesting. Everybody, first, I want you to give Tyler some grief for not showing up tonight. He was supposed to be here. He said he would try. He obviously didn't. He's probably drinking too much already before he even has to go out there and look at everybody on the field. Secondly, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It really does help. All your interaction in the comments do, but so does that when it helps to the algorithm and helps get us out in these wonderful conversations that we have with all of you. Again, I want to thank the commenters. You guys have been great tonight. Absolutely fabulous. I can't wish for better. You guys rock.
Yeah, we've gained 400 followers since passing that 1K mark. So, yeah, you guys are doing great stuff out there.
I think it's fantastic. What do we say, Deshawn?
We're here to turn your Mondays purple.
That's right.
I got it down that time, right? Hey.
You got it down.
Hey, Skull guys. See you next week.
Skull Vikings! Climb in the Pocket thanks you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and if you're listening, rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skull!